What's up, everyone? Travis here, 18 Holes of Misery. We're back. We're playing another course today, and I'm so excited for this one because this is, in my opinion, the best club or location for golf in Ontario. Now, I haven't been, obviously, to every single top place in Ontario, but I've been going to Osprey Valley for, I don't know, 10 years now, and it's always been one of my favorite tracks. So located in Caledon, it's kind of in the middle of nowhere, but again, to have 54 holes in one location of this caliber, you're gonna need a big piece of land, and obviously the closer to the city you're gonna get, the more expensive that's gonna be. The Hoot itself as a course is a mixture of a link style and a parkland style. But overall, it's such beautiful scenery. The trees are so mature, and again, as always, the conditions are just always superb. It's a par 72 course that stretches over 7,100 yards from the tips, but with multiple tees, there's challenging holes for every single level. And one of my most favorite things is that, you know, the women tees are actually like women tees. They're not like 10 yards ahead of the last tee box. They're actually further ahead. So my mom came with us and she was bombing them. She was hitting the fairway every time because it's set up that way for her. It's definitely a hard course. You have to be very strategic in your shot selection. And again, when you hit it in the rough is rough. Like, it is tough to get out of that stuff. But overall, so much fun. Practice facilities are top notch. You have a massive driving range. You have a putting green, and then you have a chipping area as well, and everything is included in the price. It is $180 what we paid, and the North course is on its own. It's $200 plus tax. But overall, like, for what you're getting at this course, everything is included in the base price. So cart, range, practice facilities, it's all included. So overall, it's expensive, but to me, it's kind of worth it. But enough of me talking, guys. Let's jump into this video and show you what the Hoot is all about. We'll see you soon. Okay, so the first hole, a long par 5, playing 495 yards, and it's pretty wide open, which is great because the starter is usually standing right there beside you for your tee shot, and most people don't warm up. Bunkers and trees throughout the fairway, and the green has one bunker in the back and some water in the front. My tee shot was not great. The starter was watching me and Def got in my head, but again, at least we didn't go OB, and it's not bad for an opening shot with no warm-up. Second shot was sort of a layup to the layup, pretty much. I didn't hit the range before, and yeah, we were the second group off the tee, so I needed to warm up. Third shot was great. I wanted to avoid the tree, and I did that. I did that pretty well. So we narrowly missed that tree, and we ended up on the green. But yeah, we're in a good spot for a birdie. Now we have a long putt for birdie, and we did a decent job with it. This was the first time seeing the speed of the greens, but it left us with a chance at par, so I can't be mad. Now we have a 5-footer to go, and we end up sinking it. And we start the day with a par, which was great. It was a great feeling, but it wouldn't last long because it was a tough day. It was a really hard day for me. It's a tough course. All right, so hole number 2 is a par 4, 320 yards, and it's very straight. Heavily treed on the left side of the fairway and 3 bunkers leading up to the green. Off the tee, I hit a bomb, like an absolute bomb. Perfect setup, and we're gonna be feeling good going into our second shot. But the rule is, usually when I hit a great drive, it ends up being chunked next, and that's what I do, and it's such a shame. And now I start spiraling, absolutely spiraling. Could easily go up and down here, but I end up topping it, and the ball rolls way past the green. Now I gotta try bump and run, and it's trash. So we're just trying to wrap this hole up now. Still 12 feet to go, and we missed that to the left, leaving us with a 4-footer to go, and luckily we hit it, and we have to settle for a double bogey. The third hole is straight, 360-yard par 4, and I just love the design of this course, and the video isn't even doing it justice because it's so beautiful when you're out there. The trees are gorgeous, and it's just so unreal. Also, the green is open, and there's a large bunker to the left. We hadn't had a bad drive yet, and obviously this is where it goes wrong. I hit it 20 yards and into the sand. So we have a lot of work to do here, but instead of trying to get it all back at once, I just try to pretty much lay up and try to get it somewhere down there and look after my third one. Now we got 150 yards to go and we chunk it, and we about get it halfway there. Now we can pull out our wedge for a bump and run, and we end up topping it, and it rolls past the green again.
That's so bad.
Again, we have our wedge in hand, and this time we hit it much better, and we end up rolling it to about 8 feet away from the hole, which I can't complain about. And next we have an 8-footer to go, and haters will say it's fake, but the battery actually died and I didn't capture the sinking of the putt. So I got a 6 on this hole, but if you want to say it was a 9, it's your world, brother. Now we have the first par 3 of the day, and guys, how beautiful is this goddamn course? This hole is 135 yards, but because of the elevation, it's probably more like 115, and there's a lot of sand to the left. My tee shot seemed perfect, like it was a perfect line, but I guess I should have played it as it was 135 yards because I ended up leaving it short. From there, I tried to bump and run, and I topped it, but somehow this happened.
Didn't mean to do that. Did not mean to do that.
Now we have about 6 feet to go, and it was a good attempt, but it lips out, and we have to settle for a 4 or bogey. Now this was our first dog leg of the day, and it was a par 4, 439 yards, and obviously you want to hug that corner as much as you can, but if you slice it or leave it short at all, you're probably going to lose your ball. So the left side of the fairway is definitely the safest, and the green is open, but you have some sand to the right. My tee shot was this close to being perfect, but it just wasn't long enough, and I wasn't able to get it on the fairway. So the next shot was online again. I just left it short, so my distances are definitely off. I need to get to the range and dial in these lengths.
I'm good, but we're gonna do it.
Now we have about 14 feet to go, and it's so off. Literally a terrible attempt, and even worse, I rushed the second putt and I missed that terribly as well, and we end up with a 6. Next up, we have another dogleg right, and this one's a par 5 and is playing 414 yards. It's pretty wide. It's pretty wide open, but the approach shot, you have to stay clear of that water on the right, and there's bunkers on the left side of the green, so definitely some traps there. My tee shot is fine, makes the fairway, but it wasn't the best contact, but I really can't complain being in the fairway. Now my approach shot I can complain about because I chunked the shit out of it, and we gotta end up redoing it but a few feet up. Now my second approach shot was great distance, but the alignment was off and we ended up pushing it to the right, and luckily it stayed up and we didn't lose the ball. Now we're in this super thick stuff and we catch it clean, but it flies out of there like a rocket. Going on our 5th shot, and we still got a lot of work to do. We're chipping again, and I mean it's fine, but just needed a couple more feet, and we were definitely spiraling at this point, so just trying to wrap it up. So we need another long putt to save bogey, and of course we missed that, and we end up having to tap in for a double. Just kidding, we end up missing that too. We score a beautiful triple bogey.
Fucking rush.
So after a terrible hole, we have a par 4 playing about 365 yards, and there's a massive tree that you have to avoid and water on the right of the fairway. The green is elevated and everything slopes down to the hole, so that kind of plays like a wall up there, so you just got to get it up there. The tree was in my head, so we hit it left of the fairway, but all in all, it was a great shot. My approach shot was pretty cool too, but a little bit shorter than I wanted, so we just tried to get up there and tried to figure out later. Now we try to hit a bump and run, and it just skips too far, and we got some work to do here for par. Of course, the conditions, the greens were fast, and I didn't want to roll it way past and end up down the green, so we left it short and tried to minimize our damage with a bogey. And we end up missing that bullshit, and we have to settle for another double. Hole 8 is a beautiful par 3. It plays 139 yards. There isn't much room for error here though, because in between the tee box and the green is wasteland, so you really have to get it over that. And then there are 2 bunkers on the right, and the left is heavily sloped. I had great contact on this one, but we ended up hitting it straight into that sloped area on the left of the green. I didn't think I could do a bump and run, so I pulled out the putter and I tried to roll it as close as we could, but we didn't give it enough power to get over that slope. Quick look at Mom sinking a nice putt. I used her line, but clearly I'm trash and I miss it to the right and we have to settle for a bogey. Next, we have a straight par 4 playing 360 yards. The left of the fairway is heavily treed and you have some sand on the right. The green has some sand on the right of it as well, but overall it's pretty straightforward. My tee shot is awesome. I hit it down the right side of the fairway and it gave me a great look at the green for my approach shot. And of course, my approach shot is chunky. We skip it up there, but we still have some work to do to save par. Now we hit a great bump and run, but it does roll a little bit further than I like. And then we have to settle for about a 20 footer and we end up rolling it past, and I still have about 7 feet to go for bogey. We leave that short and we end up striking another double. So as you can see, the front 9 didn't go the best. Hopefully we can fix things on the back 9. Now to start off the back 9, we have a par 3, 152 yards, and there's a lot of hard sand all along the left side of the hole. So if you do leave it short and left, it isn't the end of the world. And of course, that is what I end up doing, and we landed right in that sand. My approach shot also super trash. I was overthinking this and I didn't catch it enough and we left it short to the sand again. Now my next shot, I get out, but I'm still not on the green. So my troubles from the front 9 continue to the back. So now I don't want to see the wedge. I pull out my putter for my 4th shot and it's all right. Still have some work to do. About 10 feet to go and I missed that as well, and we have to settle for a disgusting triple. Like it's been a tough day. Now we got hole number 11, and this is where the halfway house is, or a snack shack. There's some decent options, but whatever. We got a par 5, 430 yards, lots of sand all over, but it's really big fairway, so you shouldn't miss it. But I end up hitting a massive hook on my drive and we end up in the goddamn sand on the left side of the fairway. So now I just want to punch it out there, get it as far as I can so I can have a decent look at the green. And I thought I'd have a look at that green, but I was still so far, so we end up hitting another layup. Now we have a clean look at the green, and this time we hit it clean, but we missed short and to the left into the super thick stuff. So we have to pull out the wedge, and we get it onto the green, but I would have loved for it to be a lot closer to the hole, so we still got a lengthy one to go. So my bogey putt is about 30 feet, and my speeds are so off. We end up leaving it really short, and we still have about 8 feet to go. We missed that so bad as well. So we got to tap in for a triple, and 8s are 100% not going to be what you want to see when you try to break 90. Hole number 12 is a hard dogleg right. It's a par 4 playing 330 yards, a lot of water to the right of the fairway, so if you do try to carry it, you'll be in a great position, but you got to have the distance to carry that. And the green has sand to the left and to the right. My tee shot was super close, it almost landed in the water, but we just cleared it. So we have to hit our approach shot from the rough, and the rough at Osprey is really rough, and we end up chunking it and it's just landing about 50 feet forward. Now my 3rd shot is even chunkier, and we land that on the hill in the thick shit again. So again, we're just trying to minimize the damage here. We hit a chip shot onto the green, but we're still so far. Now about 20 feet to go, and luckily we are able to roll it kind of close, and we have to tap in for a 6. So 14 strokes in the past 2 holes, it's just gross. Hole 13 is a par 5 and it's about 464 yards. The initial tee shot is very wide open. Ideally, you'd want to be on the left side of the fairway, and the green has a lot of water on the right, so you have to stay clear of that. Also, you can see here the shallots that they're building for the Canadian Open next year. It's going to be so cool. Like, I can't wait to see it when it's all done. So our tee shot is in play, but we hit it to the right of the fairway, so we got lots of work to do. Now, I try to lay it up close here, but we're pretty chunky, but it still leaves me with a decent spot for my approach shot. Now, my approach shot is great, very high, and we landed on the green about 20 feet to go, and we need some momentum here. Hoping for a 2-putt here, so our attempt is okay, but it ends up rolling a little bit further than I like. So now we have a tester here for par, and we end up leaving it short and to the left, so we have to tap in for another bogey. Next up, we have a 366-yard par 4 and a whole lot of sand around the fairway, both on the left and on the right. And the green has 2 bunkers on the right side, but overall pretty decent. My tee shot was a low stinger to the left of the fairway. Wasn't what I wanted to do, but it was in play, so I wasn't mad.
What I like, but
Again, you gotta hit the fairways when you're here because the rough is rough, and we hit a chunky one on our second shot, and again, we're still in the rough. And my third shot is good, but we still just miss a little to the left of the green, so we gotta chip in for par. And unfortunately, we go from one side of the green to the other side of the green, and we gotta keep the wedge out for our 5th shot. Luckily, that bump and run was much better than what we did just now, and we end up tapping in for a double bogey. Hole 15 is another par 3, and it's about 120 yards, and the green is massive. The gap between the green and the tee box is all sand, and it is a really beautiful hole. And finally, my tee shot is awesome. It isn't perfect, but it left me with a decent attempt for a birdie. So we have about 12 feet to go, and I was a bit conservative because I wanted something positive, and luckily we got it close enough to knock it in for par. So fresh off the par, we got a 378-yard par 4. It plays very straight, but the entire right side of the fairway is water. You also have large bunkers to the right and to the left, so the approach shot is going to be crucial. The water was in my head, so we end up hitting a high shot to the left side of the fairway. So I was in the rough again, and the day's been so bad, so I really didn't care. I pulled out the hybrid and I tried to get it on the green all the way from there, but we ended up missing to the sand on the right. Now from the sand, my out was actually pretty great. We landed about 15 feet away from the hole. And the putt attempt was surprisingly good too, decent speed, and we thankfully avoided a 3-putt, and we settled for a bogey. Now the second last hole of the Hoot is the signature hole of this course. Playing 322 yards, you have options here. So you have to hit over water no matter what, but you can choose the easier option to the left, which is much shorter, or you can try to clear the entire lake on the right, which will give you a much better look at birdie. And of course, with nothing to lose, I go for the right fairway, and by the grace of God, I actually cleared it. Best drive of the day easily for me. Now we have a great look at the green, and we didn't want to do anything cute, so we just hit a low bump and run, and it's pretty good. Now with about 30 feet to go, and this is a hell of an attempt. I really thought this was going to drop, but we didn't get the tweet. But needless to say, we tap in for a par, and you know, one bogey in the last 3 holes is pretty good. And finally, the final hole is I don't even know how to describe it. Par 4, 354 yards. You have to avoid the water off the tee to the left, and then you have to avoid the water on the right on the approach shot. Now my tee shot is fine. The water was in my head, so we push it far to the right. But my approach shot is great. It has to get over the water, and I do that, but I just missed to the left a bit. I pretty much putt my 3rd shot with my 7-iron, but it actually ends up really good. got about 5 feet to go, and we sink it, and we end the day with back-to-back pars, and felt pretty good about the ending of that day. All right, so as you guys can see, terrible score. We kind of picked it up there at the end, but overall it's just a tough course. And if your mind's not in it the whole way, you're gonna probably make some errors and end up in spots where you don't want to be, which is definitely what happened to me today. TPC Toronto, Osprey Valley, you were awesome. You've always been awesome. Thank you so much for having us, and guys, we'll see you guys in the next video.